When life feels like it's moving in slow motion, and every door you try to open seems locked, it's easy to believe that nothing is happening. But the truth is, things are happening, just not where you can see them yet. There's a quiet, deliberate arrangement taking place beyond your line of sight. The people, places, and circumstances you need are not being left to chance. They are being aligned with care. It's not random, it's not coincidence, it's intentional preparation. You may not be aware of it, but your meeting, that defining encounter that will change the course of your story, is closer than you think. The distance between where you are and where you're going is shrinking in ways you can't yet measure. Sometimes, the best evidence of movement is not in the noise, but in the stillness. The silence isn't empty, it's full of work being done on your behalf. Before we go further, I want to invite you to stay with me until the very end of this message. And while you're here, share your warmest wishes and type the number 77 in the comments. This is more than just interaction. It's an act of intention. Your words and your energy matter. When you speak something good into existence, you give it form. You send it into the atmosphere where it begins to take shape. Let this be your moment to declare what you hope for and to release it into the world with confidence. The universe has a way of listening when you speak with belief. You may be wondering why the wait has felt so long. Sometimes it's because the other person, the other party in your story, is being prepared just as much as you are. They have their own journey, their own refining process. Maybe they've been delayed by fear, by timing, by circumstances they couldn't control. And while you've been growing, they've been growing too. There's a pace to all of this, one that protects both of you from arriving too soon, before you're ready to truly receive each other. The right meeting doesn't happen when you think you're ready. It happens when every thread has been woven into the tapestry in the right order. There are seasons when you feel like you're walking through a hallway lined with closed doors, and each handle you try turns stiff in your grasp. That's not rejection. It's direction. The closed doors are there to prevent you from wandering into rooms that would distract or harm you. You're not missing out. You're being guided away from what doesn't belong in your destiny. That kind of protection often feels like delay, but later you'll see it for what it was. A safeguard. One day you'll thank the silence for what it kept you from, as much as for what it led you to. The meeting you're waiting for, whether it's with a person, an opportunity, or a long-awaited answer, has a specific location, time, and sequence. Think of it like a train station. Your train can't leave until the track ahead is clear, the right engineer is in place, and the signal says it's safe to move. The preparation may involve miles of track you'll never walk, conversations you'll never hear, and changes you'll never witness. But all of them matter. All of them are part of ensuring that when the moment comes, it's not a partial connection, but a complete alignment. What you might not realize is that you're already in motion. Every day, you're being moved closer to the exact intersection where your path will cross with what you've been waiting for. This is why patience is not about doing nothing. It's about trusting that your unseen progress is just as real as the progress you can measure. The people you're meant to meet are not on a different map. They're on the same map, walking toward the same point. Even if you're both still miles apart right now, the gap is closing, and every invisible mile is still a mile gained. The preparation also includes you. It's not just about getting the other person ready. It's about making sure you're the version of yourself that can recognize and hold what you're asking for. Sometimes, the waiting season exposes habits, beliefs, or wounds that would sabotage the very thing you've been praying for. That's why the process can feel like it's stretching you, challenging you, even frustrating you. But without that internal preparation, the external meeting wouldn't last. It would slip away because you wouldn't yet have the capacity to keep it. And then there's the element of timing. The most powerful connections in life often happen at the very last moment you expect them. Not because they're late, but because they're right on time, according to a clock you can't see. If you had met them a year earlier, you might have missed each other emotionally or mentally. If it had happened too soon, the opportunity might have felt like pressure instead of a gift. The timing isn't an accident. It's precise, and it's designed to make sure the moment is not just impactful, but lasting. In the meantime, every small nudge, every random thought that crosses your mind to be somewhere or reach out to someone could be part of that preparation. The things you think are accidents, a delayed train, a sudden invitation, a missed turn, could be the subtle turns in the path that guide you exactly where you need to be. It's often the smallest adjustments that make the biggest difference in how and when you arrive. And when you finally arrive at that meeting, you'll know. It will feel less like a surprise and more like a recognition, like your heart saying, "This is what I've been waiting for." The pieces will click in place, not because they were forced, but because they were always meant to fit. And you'll realize that the entire time you were waiting, you weren't standing still, you were walking straight toward it. There is a misconception that the right meeting will simply fall into your lap without any preparation or movement on your part. While some moments do arrive suddenly, the truth is that your daily steps matter. The choices you make, the places you go, the energy you give, and even the people you choose to surround yourself with, all of these shape the pathway you're on. Think of your life as a compass that responds to the magnetic pull of your decisions. Every small choice can either turn you closer toward the moment you've been waiting for, or slightly away from it. That's why it's important to keep your heart and actions aligned with what you want to receive. Part of the preparation is learning to trust not only the process, but also your own instincts. You've been given an inner guide that nudges you toward certain places, conversations, or opportunities. These nudges often don't make sense in the moment. They can seem random or unrelated to your larger goal. But when you look back, you'll see they were all part of the same map. The coffee shop you decided to walk into on a whim, the event you reluctantly agreed to attend, the book you picked up out of nowhere. Any one of these could be the bridge between where you are and the person or opportunity you're meant to meet. It's also important to release the pressure of controlling the how and when. The desire to control every detail can actually slow your progress. When you try to force a timeline or manipulate circumstances, you're essentially stepping into a role that isn't yours. Your job is to stay ready, to remain open, and to keep walking in alignment with what feels true to your spirit. The how will take care of itself in ways you could never design. Often, the real beauty of a destined meeting is that it unfolds in a way you never imagined, effortlessly, naturally, and without you having to strain to make it happen. Your preparation might involve saying goodbye to certain chapters or people, not because they were bad, but because they no longer fit the story you're walking into. This can be painful, especially when you've invested years into something that's now fading. But remember, the space you clear makes room for what's next. Holding on to what's familiar can block the new from entering your life. Sometimes the most courageous act you can take is to let go, even without knowing exactly what will take its place. Another layer of preparation is refining your vision. When you know what you truly want, you stop settling for things that only halfway match your heart's desires. This doesn't mean you cling to unrealistic expectations, but rather that you remain true to your non-negotiables. The meeting you're waiting for will honor these, not force you to compromise them. The more clarity you have, the easier it is to recognize the right moment when it appears. Without that clarity, even the right opportunity could pass unnoticed, because you wouldn't be able to see it for what it is. It's worth remembering that preparation is not only about readiness, it's also about protection. There are moments in life when your eagerness could lead you to accept something prematurely. A relationship or opportunity that comes too soon, before all the groundwork has been laid, can cause more harm than good. The waiting period is the shield that guards you against such premature connections. It's not a punishment, it's a form of care. During this season, you might notice an increase in almost moments, times when you feel like you're about to step into the meeting you've been hoping for, but it doesn't quite happen. Don't let these discourage you. Instead, see them as rehearsals. Each near encounter is preparing you for the real thing. These moments sharpen your discernment, teach you patience, and help you fine-tune your energy so that when the real meeting occurs, you'll be able to fully embrace it without hesitation. There is also something profound about the fact that this meeting is closer than you think. You may believe you still have months or even years to wait, but often the final stretch is shorter than we expect. You might be one introduction away, one conversation away, one unexpected turn away from everything changing. This is why it's important to live with an open spirit, ready to say yes when the door opens. You never know when a simple yes will lead you into the moment you've been envisioning for so long. And in the grand design of things, the meeting will happen not just for your benefit, but for theirs as well. This isn't a one-sided story. The other person, or the opportunity itself, has been looking for you just as much as you've been looking for them. There is a mutual pull at work, one that transcends logic. The invisible connection is already there. It's simply waiting for the moment when both sides are ready to step into it fully. When the moment arrives, it won't require convincing or overthinking. It will feel like something clicks into place, a sense of, "This is it," settling into your chest. And as you look back, you'll realize that every twist, every delay, and every detour wasn't keeping you from it. It was leading you straight to it. One of the most overlooked parts of this journey is how subtle the signs can be as you approach the moment of alignment. Many expect fireworks or a dramatic shift, but often, the approach to your meeting is quiet. It's in the ease you begin to feel in situations that once made you anxious. It's in the sudden clarity about what you want and what you no longer need. These subtle shifts in your inner world are signs that your outer world is about to reflect something new. The quietness isn't emptiness. It's the calm before a door opens. You might also notice that the people around you start to change. Some drift away without explanation, while others step in and offer unexpected help. This isn't random. Every relationship is part of the larger design. Those who leave make space for those who need to enter. Those who arrive often bring with them the very energy or resources you need to take the next step. If you pay close attention, you'll see that even the smallest encounters hold pieces of the bigger picture. During this time, it's important to be mindful of your environment. Your surroundings, both physical and emotional, can either nurture your readiness or cloud it. If you are in spaces that drain your energy, make it a priority to limit your exposure to them. Protect your focus, protect your peace. The clearer your space, the easier it is to hear the quiet guidance that leads you to the right place at the right time. Another thing to keep in mind is that your meeting may not happen in the setting you imagine. You might think it will happen in a certain city, at a certain event, or through a specific introduction. But sometimes, the place you least expect becomes the place everything shifts. This unpredictability is part of what makes these moments so powerful. They bypass your expectations and arrive in ways that feel both surprising and inevitable. As you move closer, you may feel a growing sense of anticipation without knowing why. You might wake up feeling energized, more aware, more attuned to possibilities around you. This heightened awareness is not an accident. It's your mind and spirit preparing for recognition. When the meeting happens, you won't just see it with your eyes. You'll feel it in your whole being. It will carry a sense of familiarity, as if you've been walking toward it for lifetimes. One of the challenges in this stage is resisting the urge to rush. Excitement can easily turn into impatience, and impatience can push you into choices that aren't truly aligned. The best way to counter this is to focus on becoming the most complete version of yourself. Pour into your growth, your health, your passions. When you're deeply engaged in your own life, time moves more fluidly, and the waiting feels less like a pause and more like a preparation dance. It's also worth understanding that this meeting isn't simply about a moment. It's about the transformation that follows. The person or opportunity you connect with will not just fill a space in your life. They will shift the trajectory of it. The ripple effects will reach further than you can see now. That's why the preparation feels so detailed, because the impact will be lasting. Think of it like a seed that's been planted. For months, maybe years, you've been tending to soil without any visible sign of growth. You've been showing up, nurturing something you couldn't yet see. And then, one day, without warning, a sprout appears. It feels sudden, but it's not. The roots were growing all along, deep beneath the surface, preparing to break through. That's exactly how your meeting will feel. Out of nowhere, yet perfectly timed. So as you move forward, remember this. Each day is part of the path. Even the ordinary days are significant. You never know when you're in the final week, the final day, the final hour before the moment that changes everything. That's why it's essential to keep walking with intention, because the distance left between you and that meeting might be smaller than you can imagine. There's a point in every journey when the preparation starts to merge with the unfolding. You may not recognize it immediately, because it doesn't come with a dramatic announcement. It comes with small, almost imperceptible shifts. The conversations you have start to carry more depth. The people you meet seem more aligned with your values and your goals. You begin to notice that you're saying no more confidently to things that once would have distracted you. This is not a coincidence. It's the evidence that you are already stepping into the space you've been preparing for. At this stage, synchronicities often increase. You might hear about the same opportunity from multiple sources in a short time. A name you've never heard before could suddenly keep appearing in different contexts. A certain place or event might come up repeatedly until you decide to look into it. These patterns are like signposts, subtle confirmations that you're on the right track. They are reminders that the universe doesn't need to shout when it knows you're listening closely. It's also here, in this transitional space, that old doubts may try to resurface. You might start to question whether the meeting will actually happen, whether the signs you're seeing mean anything at all, or whether you've simply been imagining the entire journey. These doubts are not a sign to stop. They're a sign that you're close. When you're near a breakthrough, resistance often intensifies. It's like the final uphill stretch before reaching the peak. The air feels thinner, the climb steeper, but the view is about to open up. Another key element in this phase is self-trust. By now, you've been making choices, following instincts, and letting go of things that no longer serve you. Trust that these decisions are leading you exactly where you need to be. Even if the full picture isn't visible, the pieces you've gathered along the way are forming something meaningful. The more you trust yourself, the easier it becomes to move through uncertainty without being paralyzed by it. there's also a certain peace that begins to settle over you. This doesn't mean you stop caring or that the anticipation disappears. It means you've reached a point where you no longer need constant reassurance. You know it's coming. You've released the urge to control it. You're no longer trying to drag the future into the present. Instead, you're preparing your present to meet the future halfway. This quiet confidence is one of the clearest indicators that the meeting is close. During this time, opportunities might appear that look tempting but feel slightly off. They may offer quick gratification or seem like shortcuts to what you want, but something in you hesitates. Pay attention to that hesitation. Sometimes these moments are tests to see if you can recognize the difference between almost right and truly right. Choosing to wait for what aligns completely is one of the most powerful decisions you can make. You might also find yourself drawn to places or activities without knowing why. A sudden urge to visit a certain location, attend an event, or take up a hobby might lead you directly into the path of the person or opportunity you've been waiting for. Trust those pulls. They often bypass logic because they are guided by something deeper than reasoning. They are guided by alignment. And when the day finally comes, it will unfold naturally. It won't feel forced or staged. The conversation will flow easily. The connection will feel effortless, and you'll sense that everything in your life has been building toward this moment. You'll look back on the waiting, the preparation, the moments of doubt, and you'll see how each one played a role in bringing you here. The meeting will feel like a door that was always meant for you, one that opens not because you pushed against it, but because you arrived at the exact moment it was ready to swing wide. The moment after the meeting happens is unlike anything else you've experienced. It's not just the excitement of a new connection or the relief of finally arriving at a long-awaited point. It's the realization that something inside you has shifted. You can feel it in the way you breathe, in the way your mind suddenly replays the steps that brought you here. Everything that once felt uncertain now seems to make sense. The conversations you had, the detours you took, even the delays, all of it was perfectly placed to lead you into this moment. One of the most striking things about a destined meeting is that it carries a sense of inevitability. Even if you didn't know the details, something deep down always believed it would happen. This is why it feels less like you're meeting someone or stepping into an opportunity for the first time, and more like you're recognizing it. As if your soul is saying, there you are. This recognition isn't based on logic or familiarity. It's based on a deeper knowing, one that goes beyond words. In the hours or days following, you might find that everything else in your life starts to shift to accommodate this new connection. Plans rearrange themselves, priorities realign, and even your energy feels different. It's as if life itself is making room for what just entered. You may feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude, not just for the meeting itself, but for the journey that shaped you enough to receive it fully. Without the lessons, the waiting, and the growth, you might not have been ready to embrace it in the way you can now. There's also an awareness that the meeting is not the end. It's the beginning of a new chapter. This is where the real unfolding starts. The connection you've been brought into will serve as a catalyst, opening doors and creating ripples that extend far beyond this initial moment. You'll begin to see how intertwined everything is, how this one encounter could lead to opportunities, relationships, and transformations that you never could have mapped out on your own. It's important to move forward with both openness and intention. Openness allows you to explore the possibilities without fear or rigid expectations. Intention ensures that you nurture the connection with care, that you honor its potential without taking it for granted. This balance between openness and focus will allow the relationship or opportunity to grow naturally without forcing it into a shape that doesn't fit. In the early stages after the meeting, You may also notice an increase in your own confidence. Something about stepping into a moment that was clearly meant for you reinforces your belief in your path. You start to trust your instincts more, speak with more clarity, and act with more courage. This confidence is not arrogance. It's the quiet certainty that comes from experiencing undeniable alignment. Sometimes, the days after the meeting can also bring a mix of emotions: joy, excitement, even a hint of fear. Fear not because the connection is wrong, but because it's right. The stakes feel higher when you know you've been given something rare. It's natural to feel protective over it, to want to make sure it's nurtured and handled with care. This awareness is a gift. It shows that you value what has arrived and that you recognize its potential to shape your life in profound ways. As you settle into this new reality, you'll likely find that your perspective shifts. Things that once consumed your energy or caused you stress may suddenly seem smaller, less important. You'll find it easier to let go of distractions because you're now anchored by something more significant. This clarity will not only help you nurture the connection, it will help you live with greater focus and purpose in all areas of your life. And perhaps the most beautiful part is that over time, you'll realize that the meeting didn't just change your circumstances, it changed you. It expanded your understanding of timing, trust, and alignment. It showed you that the universe is not silent, that preparation is never wasted, and that sometimes the things we've been waiting for the longest arrive just when we stop trying to chase them and start allowing them to meet us where we are. As the days turn into weeks and the initial excitement begins to blend into your daily life, you start to see the deeper layers of what this meeting truly means. It's not just about the connection itself. It's about the way it transforms the entire landscape of your life. The presence of this person, opportunity, or event begins to influence the decisions you make, the goals you set, and even the way you view the future. It's as if a missing piece has finally clicked into place, allowing the rest of the picture to come into focus. One of the most profound realizations you'll have is that the meeting was never just about fulfilling a single desire. It was about expansion. It was about introducing you to a version of yourself that you couldn't have become without this new element in your life. The conversations you have now carry more meaning. The plans you make hold more purpose. You start to notice how much lighter certain burdens feel, how much more inspired you are to take action in areas you once hesitated. This is also when the subtle ripples begin. You'll notice that because of this connection, you're meeting new people, encountering unexpected opportunities, or being introduced to environments you've never explored before. Each ripple connects to another, forming a chain of events that keeps extending outward. What began as a single meeting becomes a network of possibilities, many of which you never would have found on your own. Of course, with expansion comes responsibility. The new paths opening before you require discernment. Not every door that appears needs to be walked through, and not every opportunity that arrives will align with the deeper purpose of this connection. This is where your patience and self-trust come back into play. Just as you waited for the right meeting, you can wait for the right next step. There's no need to rush when the momentum is already working in your favor. You'll also find that your standards naturally rise. Having experienced a moment of such undeniable alignment, you become less willing to settle for things that don't match that energy. Whether it's in relationships, work, or personal goals, you recognize the difference between something that feels almost right and something that is entirely right. This isn't about becoming overly critical. It's about honoring the truth you've tasted and refusing to dilute it. In this phase, reflection becomes even more important. Taking time to look back on the path that led you here will not only deepen your gratitude, but also strengthen your trust in the process for future seasons of waiting. You'll begin to see patterns, moments when you thought you were lost but were actually being redirected. The more you reflect, the more you realize that preparation is not a one-time event. It's a way of life. You may also notice that your presence affects others differently now. The confidence, clarity, and sense of alignment you carry becomes magnetic. People are drawn to the calm assurance you radiate, even if they don't fully understand where it comes from. Some will be inspired to seek their own path with greater intention, while others will simply feel more at peace in your presence. In this way, your meeting becomes a gift that extends far beyond you. It becomes a source of light for those around you, and as time passes, the connection itself will evolve. It may grow deeper, more integrated into your everyday life, or it may serve as a powerful catalyst that eventually shifts into a different form. Either way, its impact will remain. You'll carry the lessons, the growth, and the trust it taught you into every future chapter. Even if its role changes, its purpose will have been fulfilled, opening your life to possibilities you couldn't have imagined before. What becomes clear is that the meeting was never just a moment. It was a turning point. It was a bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. And even long after the initial spark, its influence will continue to guide you, reminding you that alignment is possible, timing is real, and that the path ahead is always being prepared, even when you can't yet see it. There will come a moment, perhaps months or even years after that first meeting, when you'll look back and realize how much has changed. The life you're living will be so different from the one you had before that it will almost feel like a different lifetime. And in that moment of reflection, you'll see with perfect clarity that every delay, every closed door, and every unanswered question was part of a greater design that you couldn't yet understand back then. You'll remember the days when you questioned whether the preparation was worth it, when you wondered if you were just waiting for something that would never come. And you'll smile, because now you know it was never wasted. Every step, every pause, every challenge was carving out the space you needed to hold what was always meant to be yours. You'll see that the path was not just about arriving at the meeting, but about becoming the person who could recognize it and nurture it. The beauty of this realization is that it doesn't just validate the past, it shapes the way you move into the future. Having witnessed the power of timing and alignment firsthand, you'll carry a quiet confidence into whatever comes next. You'll trust that even when life feels uncertain, something is always being prepared in the background. You'll live with an openness to possibility, knowing that at any moment, a single encounter could shift everything again. And perhaps the greatest gift of all is the way this experience will inspire others. When they see how your path unfolded, how patience and trust led you to something extraordinary, they'll begin to believe it could happen for them too. Your story will become a reminder that the wait is never just empty space. It's where the groundwork for miracles is laid. You'll become living proof that preparation is not in vain, and that the right moments have a way of finding you when you're ready to receive them. Over time, you'll stop looking at life as a series of disconnected events and start seeing it as a carefully woven tapestry. Threads you once thought were mistakes or detours will reveal themselves as essential parts of the pattern. You'll recognize that nothing was wasted, and that even the moments you thought were holding you back were actually moving you forward. And so, as you step into each new season, you'll do so with a heart that is both grounded and open. Grounded in the knowledge that you've been guided before and will be guided again. Open to the possibility that the next great meeting, the next turning point, is already on its way. You won't need to chase it or force it. You'll simply need to keep walking in alignment, trusting that the way is being prepared, just as it always has been. Because once you've experienced it, once you've seen what it feels like to arrive at a moment that feels as if it was written just for you, you'll never again doubt that it can happen. And you'll know deep in your soul that your next meeting is not a distant dream. It's closer than you think. In the seasons that follow, the understanding you've gained begins to shape the very way you move through life. You find yourself less reactive to delays and more curious about what they might be making space for. Instead of rushing toward answers, you allow questions to breathe. You've learned that the unseen work happening behind the scenes is often the most important work of all. That awareness brings a deep calm, one that others can feel even if they can't name it. You'll notice that your relationships evolve in subtle but meaningful ways. People who share your values and vision will gravitate toward you, and those who operate from a place of chaos or misalignment will naturally drift away. This isn't about judgment, it's about resonance. You are now tuned to a frequency that only those walking with similar clarity can truly connect with. The connections you do keep will be richer, more grounded, and built on the kind of trust that doesn't require constant reassurance. And while your meeting may have been a defining point, you'll realize that it was never meant to be the only defining point. Life will continue to bring new alignments, some small, some monumental. You'll step into opportunities that echo the same sense of inevitability you felt during that first meeting, and each time, you'll be reminded of how powerful it is to trust the path. These new moments will not replace the original one. They will expand upon it, adding new chapters to a story that is still being written. You'll also develop a sharper sense of timing, not in the sense of predicting exact moments, but in knowing when the energy is shifting. You'll sense when a season is closing and a new one is beginning, when the people around you are shifting roles in your life, and when it's time to step forward or hold back. This instinct becomes one of your greatest tools, allowing you to navigate change with a steady hand instead of a fearful heart. There will be times when you'll be called to help others prepare for their own meetings. You'll recognize the signs in their journey, the moments of doubt, the urge to give up, the subtle patterns of alignment, and you'll know exactly what to say. You won't offer empty cliches or rushed encouragement. Instead, you'll speak from a place of lived truth, assuring them that preparation has its own rhythm and that they are closer than they realize. In doing so, you become part of their alignment, a stepping stone on their path. As the years go by, you'll find yourself living with a kind of readiness that doesn't require anxiety. You're ready not because you're chasing the next moment, but because you've learned how to keep your heart and mind open. You've trained yourself to notice the details, to honor the small shifts, and to welcome the unexpected without resistance. It's in this posture of openness that life often delivers its most beautiful surprises. And perhaps the most profound lesson of all is that the path never truly stops being prepared. Even now, somewhere beyond what you can see, there are pieces moving into place for the next intersection in your journey. You may not know the where, the who, or the how, but you know it's coming. That certainty frees you from living in constant pursuit, because you understand that the meeting will find you at the exact moment you are ready to receive it. So you walk forward, not with impatience, but with quiet anticipation. You live your days fully, knowing that any one of them could hold the next turning point. And when it arrives, you'll recognize it instantly, because your heart has felt that rhythm before. It's the same rhythm that has been guiding you all along, the quiet, steady pulse of alignment, always preparing the way, always bringing you closer than you think. There comes a point when you stop measuring the worth of your life by how quickly things arrive, and start measuring it by the depth with which you live each moment. You begin to see that every meeting, every crossing of paths, whether brief or lasting, has a purpose. Some moments exist to propel you forward, others to teach you, and a few to completely alter the trajectory of your story. And the meeting you waited so long for will always hold a sacred place in your memory, not because of how it began, but because of how it changed you. When you think back on it, you'll see that the real gift was never just the connection itself. It was the awakening that came with it. It was the moment you finally understood that timing is not random, that preparation is never wasted, and that unseen forces are always working to bring you into alignment with what you're meant to experience. You'll carry that understanding into every new season, allowing it to steady you when life feels uncertain. The beauty of this kind of trust is that it doesn't fade after one experience. It compounds. Each time you witness alignment unfold, your faith in the process deepens. You stop questioning whether you're on the right path, and instead focus on walking it with intention. You know that what is meant for you will find you, and that you'll be ready when it does. This knowing frees you from desperation and allows you to move through life with an open, grounded heart. And as you continue forward, you'll notice that the space between your desires and their fulfillment feels less heavy. You'll live with the quiet assurance that your next moment of alignment is already forming, already being prepared, even in ways you cannot yet imagine. The anticipation will feel lighter, sweeter, because it's no longer rooted in doubt, it's rooted in trust. One day, perhaps in the most ordinary setting, you'll experience it again, that unmistakable sense that you've stepped into something meant for you. And you'll smile, not with surprise, but with recognition. You'll remember that you've walked this path before, that you've felt this alignment before, and that every step you've taken has been leading you here. Once again, you'll realize the meeting was never far away. It was always closer than you thought. And so you keep walking, not because you're chasing, but because you're ready. Ready for the next alignment, ready for the next door, ready for the next moment that changes everything. Always trusting that somewhere ahead, the way is being prepared, and that when the time is right, you'll be there, exactly where you're meant to be. And so, the story continues, not as a single event frozen in time, but as a living rhythm that carries you forward. What you've experienced is not just a rare moment of alignment, but a reminder of how life truly works. Paths are prepared long before you see them. Connections are set in motion long before you arrive. And the most extraordinary encounters are often the result of countless invisible threads woven together by timing, patience, and trust. You've learned that the space between desire and fulfillment is not empty. It's sacred ground. It's where character is built, vision is refined, and your capacity to receive is strengthened. And because you've walked that path once, you'll recognize its terrain whenever it appears again. You won't be afraid of the waiting seasons anymore, because you'll know they are working for you, not against you. The beauty is, you no longer live with the weight of wondering if your moment will ever come. You live with the certainty that it will, and that it may already be unfolding in ways you cannot yet see. That certainty frees you to live fully in the present, without clinging or chasing, but with a quiet readiness for the next opening that life has in store. And when that next meeting comes, you will step into it with grace, not surprise. You'll carry with you the wisdom of every delay, every detour, and every gentle nudge that brought you here before. You'll meet it as an old friend, knowing that it was always making its way toward you, just as you were making your way toward it. This is the rhythm you now live by. Trust the path, honor the process, stay ready for what's next. The details will reveal themselves in their own time. And in that time, you will see, again and again, that every meeting meant for you is closer than you think, always closer than you think.